Hey everyone, it's a Saturday night. It's 9:30 p.m. I was just telling Lev that I literally just got in at 4 a.m. in the morning today from the West Coast. I'm exhausted. I should be taking the day off. Lev was at dinner, but you know, there's a war criminal visiting. There's an aging criminal who can't walk straight. He's selling Ukraine, throwing them under the bus, throwing Americans under the bus, completely compromised. And so a master met his pet today. Yesterday, a master Putin met his poodle, Donald Trump. And the question is, why, oh, why did a war criminal get such a warm reception in Alaska? Just a fantastic five-course meal. Oh, Donald Trump, he shook his hand. They sat in the car. They rode together. What was discussed? What was not discussed? What deal was made? What deal wasn't made? But what's the real plan? What's happening behind the theater? And of course, I have Lev Parnas, former Trump fixer who still has many, if you will, insiders, confidants, both in the Trump world and the Putin world, to break it all down. And the framing of tonight's conversation is how Putin is playing Trump and America. Lev, I give it to you. And Lev has a great piece out. Said voice from Ukraine live breakdown of Trump Putin theater. Oh, look at that. Great minds think alike, Lev. I had no idea you used the word theater. I'm going to have this up on my website and his website, and I will link to it. Lev, I give the floor to you.
Was, I mean, because that's what it was. It was theater. If you take a look at it, it was all produced. I mean, the timing for the way that both planes arrived, the waiting of who came out first, the way Trump greeted him. I mean, the applause. I mean, watching that play out. I mean, first of all, I was sick to my stomach too, because this is not only a war criminal. This is a person that has so much blood on his hands. He is currently bombing and killing people. He's basically kidnapped over 20,000 kids. Over 20,000 kids, this guy kidnapped. And this is how you greet him. You give him a military salute. I mean, a flyover by B-52 bombers. You let the guy sit. And we'll talk about why he got into the beast and how, because there were certain things that changed right before they got there. And there was certain maneuvers that were going on. But it was disgusting because if you compare it to the way he greeted Zelensky, the our ally, I mean, somebody that's under attack, is protecting the sovereignty of their country from an attack of a monster. The way he greeted him was like, "Hey, you got to be grateful, thankful." J.D. Vance was screaming at he didn't say thank you enough, and here you, on the other hand, these guys. I mean, even it was interesting because in my Substack that I wrote today, one of the things that I did is I compiled the news reporting from Fox because it was interesting because it's one thing when you watch CNN, the others, but you know what? I took a look and I wanted to see how did Fox report? How did they spin this? Because I
They
can't even.
flipped it.
No, listen, they didn't even spin it. I caught them. I caught them literally, and I have this piece. It's on my Substack. I made a 2-minute montage out of it, but literally how they're talking about, and one of them calls it a nothing burger, and then Henrik, the reporter that was there, she literally said that Putin came in, steamrolled over Donald Trump. And I mean, Fox was reporting and they were like in shock. They were like, there was so much, some of the stuff that they mentioned for a fact, which was true. They said there were so many things that were weird in this thing because, first of all, Putin speaking first. You're on American soil. An American president takes control. He basically gave control of that podium to Putin. Putin basically went there, rambled on whatever he wanted. Trump stood there, praised him. But the most important thing that Putin said, and this is where you could tell what this whole meeting was about, and this is what this whole the whole relationship is about, is how he turned around. Vladimir Putin, and this is what I want everybody to think: a KGB agent, a somebody that has killed so many people, so much blood on his hands, so much atrocities, stood there with a smile on his face, a smirk on his face, and said that if Donald Trump would have been president, that we wouldn't have invaded. There would have been no war. There would have been no. I mean, just think about the choreograph, and Trump stood there literally clapping to him, saying to him, and then afterwards going on Sean Hannity, literally, and talking about it. But it gets even worse than that, Waj, because I have a clip that I also posted of Sean Hannity interview, and there he talks about this. This is completely grand. If you guys want to, I could let you hear it with your own words, but I'll paraphrase it. Where Trump says, Vladimir Putin is such a smart man. You know what he said to you know what, Vlad, let me play this because you gotta hear this because this is what this is all about, folks. This is when we talk about election reform, when we talk about what Donald Trump is trying to do. Here, I want you to hear his conversation with Vladimir Putin on this subject with your own ears. Hold on a second. Let me
Here,
get
take your time.
I got it right here, right now. Let me just get the volume up here. I want everybody to hear. Oh, hold on.
And by the way, when I said Fox flipped, what I meant is they flipped from their regular propaganda, and even they were disgusted. Because I'm so
Oh
glad
yeah,
that you,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
everyone needs to see that clip because it was a Fox correspondent who said that Putin came
I
in and
have it. If we
steamrolled.
want to, we could let it play.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like a minute. I'll
go
play.
for it.
But first, let's play first Donald Trump. I want everybody to hear Donald Trump. This is extremely important because this is what we are saying. Keep your eye on the ball, folks. Here in the United States, listen to this.
Oh, Vladimir Putin said something. One of the most interesting things he said, your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead. And he said, and you lost it because of mail-in voting. It was a rigged election, but mail-in voting, Sean. Oh, Vladimir Putin said something.
Okay, so just think about it. That's 30. That's like a 40-second clip of what's it called? Mail-in voting. What do we tell you every day? They're trying to do is get rid of mail-in voting. They're trying to get rid of it, and now he's sitting there with a dictator. He's sitting with the guy that fixed our election, that interferes with our elections, that kidnaps our people, puts them in prison, does all kinds of stuff. I mean, literally, there was a report, right, Wash, right before we went there, that they somehow hacked the Wall Street Journal. I think reported that they hacked it. So literally, right
The
before we
New
went.
York Times, while we were on live last week, New York Times reported that Russia is allegedly behind a hack of some federal systems and has access to key information.
Like literally right now, and he like is sitting there mesmerized because Vladimir Putin told him what he wants to hear. He literally praised him and said, listen, you won that, the Democrats rigged it. Biden, just think about what Vladimir Putin said on stage. He said that before he invaded in 2022, that he called the prior administration and like kind of, I don't know how he said, either warned them or said something, but they could have stopped it, but they didn't. I mean, this is all like this is what this was set up for, to give Donald Trump his ammunition, because you know what? Donald Trump gave Vladimir Putin what he wanted.
Yep.
He walked away from Ukraine. I mean, what we're going to see Monday is, I just hope he doesn't embarrass Zelensky. I hope it doesn't get to that point. I hope it's
He
at
is.
least, where it's like they walk away, because Ukraine and Europe, they understand that Putin and Trump just wiped his hands off this whole thing. Because the other thing, Waj, they're not reporting is the day that Putin was flying there, that same day, Kim Jong Un from North Korea sent over another 6,000 troops, more ammunition, on the day that he's supposedly going to do a peace deal. You can't make this up. But let me
Well,
find that while you're talking. Let me find that Fox
so
thing. Go ahead. Go
the
ahead.
last time we were speaking was last week. Lev and I were talking, and our prediction was that this would be a theater, and Trump and Putin would meet, and Trump would give verbal fellatio to Putin, as it always happens. And what would happen is that Trump would leave and say, "Okay, I'm here for a peace deal. The peace deal, Ukraine can win this war. So listen, just give Russia what it wants. Russia's already there, and let just walk away, and then that'll be a peace deal." I don't know if you saw the latest news. New York Times: President Trump on Saturday split from Ukraine and key European allies after a summit with Putin, backing Putin's plan for a sweeping peace agreement based on Ukraine. Wait for it, folks. Ceding territory it controls to Russia instead of the urgent ceasefire Trump said he wanted before the meeting. Skipping ceasefire discussions would give Russia an advantage in the talks, which are expected to continue on Monday when Zelensky of Ukraine visits Trump at the White House. It breaks from a strategy Trump and European allies, as well as Zelensky, had agreed to before the U.S. summit in Alaska. That's exactly what we predicted last week, Lev.
I mean, exactly. I mean, they basically, Trump played him out, and now he basically is telling him, and it gets even worse because part of what he's going to tell Zelensky is that he wants you. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but it's just like you can't even make this shit up. He wants Zelensky not only, it's one thing if he was saying, okay, comments somehow saying stop where it is and let's talk, even where we wouldn't go there. Zelensky's not giving up any land, but he wants to swap land.
Yep.
He wants Ukraine to give up land that is not even invaded by Russia. That's not controlled by Russia. That is their land. He just wants them to swap it. I mean, that's completely off the charts. Like you can't even make that shit up. You
And
know.
also, I want to remind people going back to late February when Zelensky visited. I just want to do compare and contrast, folks. Donald Trump has given a sweetheart deal to one of the worst pedophiles on earth, Ghislaine Maxwell. Even though they're trying to distract from Epstein, we won't forget. As that's happening, he's unleashing the National Guard to rough up innocent folks right here in Washington, D.C., and terrorize brown communities in L.A. He has pardoned 1,600 insurrectionists, including those with violent backgrounds who beat up and attacked cops. And he berated and humiliated, along with J.D. Vance, Zelensky, mocked his clothing, said he should be more grateful. It was a public display. Now look at how he treats Vladimir Putin, a man who admitted publicly that, yes, Russia did interfere in the 2016 election, that, yes, Russia wanted Trump to win. Donald Trump only said, Russia, if you're listening, a bipartisan report that came out in 2016, co-authored by Marco Rubio, said that, yes, Russia did interfere. That man who interfered in our election, that dictator, that war criminal, gets a verbal fellatio, straight up blowjob from Donald Trump. And look at how he's treating American citizens. Pardon my language, folks. Zelensky, our European allies. Folks, it's all there in front of you. And now this clip. We're not the only ones. Don't believe me and Lev. Listen to Fox.
Listen to Fox, and the crazy part is, think about it, he's normalized that we currently have the federal National Guard in Washington D.C., and it's normalized. We had it in Los Angeles, we have it in D.C., and no, the media is not even reporting on it. But here, listen to how Fox reported yesterday. This is a clip. It's about a minute and a half. Here we go.
Was anything but. It was
Okay, here we go.
Joint news conference was anything but. It was not a news conference. There were no questions taken by either leader. Fred, is it safe to say, since he didn't come out and said this is a ceasefire, a cessation of violence, that that is something we didn't get all the way there? I think they would have led with it. It would have been the thing that they would have led with, that we agreed to a ceasefire. We didn't hear it. And I think that could be disappointing. Jackie, I was surprised no questions. I was surprised no details on what progress was made.
I think you and me both, Brian, and everyone else in this room was also surprised. There were a few things that were very unusual. You had Putin come out and address the press first. I mean, we are on U.S. soil here. Usually it is the leader of the country, the host country of a summit, that speaks first and addresses the room in their language. But Putin started right off in Russian, and we all had to get our headsets on and listen to him rattle off this diatribe. There was something that he said that was a little bit alarming, I thought, that seems like some of the things that he has done in the past, setting up false flags and that kind of thing, saying that we hope that Ukraine doesn't do anything to sabotage the progress that we made today, knowing full well that Ukraine has agreed to a ceasefire unconditionally for the last several months, and it has been Russia that has not agreed to a ceasefire. There were some things that Putin said that are always cause for concern. He references things like root causes.
I know.
It's always a reference back to his ultimate goal of taking all of Ukraine. It did not seem like things went well, and it seemed like Putin came in and steamrolled, got right into what he wanted to say, and got his photo next to the president and then left. Certainly President Trump, who is the host and who is the president, would not want to, I think, enable something that would make him look weak. But we are eagerly awaiting to hear the background on that.
this joint news company.
That was a clip I put together of, basically give you an example. I mean, they were in shock. I wish you could see their faces. They were like, we don't understand what's going on. Like, why are they all of a sudden, is he talking first? Why? But let me give you another one. Let me tell you how Russia's responding. Let me tell you how what they're how they are saying that this meeting went. Hold on a second. Let me get this to you. I'm sorry if you hear my dogs in the background. We just got home and it's mayhem. And okay, so
Even the dog is like, this is disgraceful. Even the dog is like, my God, man. And by the way, as Lev is finding that, folks, everything Trump touches dies, right? Check this out. This is fascinating. If you were looking at the polls, Republicans were hammering Ukraine and Zelensky. For the past several months, the poll numbers were down. Check this out. In the past 7 months, thanks to Donald Trump and his overreach and, his corruption criminality, key findings just came out. Overall, 6 in 10 continue to support the United States sending arms and military supplies to Kyiv, up 10%, and providing economic assistance to Ukraine, up 6%. The most substantial shift, wait for it, are among Republicans, plus 9 percentage points for economic assistance, plus 21 percentage points for military aid, and independents, plus 7 economic, plus 10 military. In fact, 51% of Republicans now support providing military aid to Ukraine. Large majorities of both Republicans and Democrats support increasing sanctions against Russia. Now, if you've been following this story, that's an almost complete reversal from 7 months ago, because right-wing media spent all their effort and times to bolster up Donald Trump and his authoritarian vision and cracking down on Zelensky. I believe with those poll numbers right now, what we just saw and heard on Fox, plus with Epstein, plus with the economy, and plus the theater that I'm with you, Lev. I really hope this doesn't happen, but folks, it was just February. People forget. I know it seems like 10 years ago. February, JD Vance, when he's not busy vacationing, because that's all he seems to do, his only job is to vacation in expensive places and wait for Donald Trump to die so Peter Thiel can become the shadow president. But Donald Trump unleashed his dog, JD Vance, on Zelensky, and they humiliated him. I believe we're going to see something like that on Monday. And compare and contrast that to this fawning love fest, this poodle who sat there and licked his master's face on Friday. Lev.
I mean, definitely, we're not going to see a red carpet. We're not going to see flyovers. We're not going to see. I just hope that we don't see another a reputation of what happened in the last time in the Oval. I hope at least because I know. Uh, 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 Listen, Trump, you could even tell by Trump's reaction and the way, he was almost like dead, like, that, he understands that there is no deal. This is just another day, another 2 days. Because, listen, the meeting was all set up, and we spoke about Wash. This wasn't about Ukraine. This was set up. This was about basically normalizing relationships between Russia and the United States. It was about getting Russia back into the financial world. It was setting up a platform for Russia to start lifting certain sanctions. It was setting up the point to all of a sudden where we might have a press release coming very soon that there's going to be airlines that will be allowed to travel back and forth to Russia and stuff like that. Trade. And the crazy part of it all, Waj, wait till I tell you this one, is one of the things that him and Putin, which my sources tell me have negotiated, and Witkoff was the one that negotiated this one. That's why there was not that much talked about, is the land that Putin currently has occupied of Ukraine is currently majority of the land that has the mineral rights and mineral that deposits that Trump did the deal with Ukraine. So Trump is negotiating now with Russia with that deal to allow them not only to dig and drill for mineral rights in Ukrainian territory, making deals with them, but also off the Alaskan coast. I'm hearing that they're setting up setting up deals. So this is the type of stuff that they really were talking about, like Nord Stream 2, about controlling energy energy, bypassing Ukraine and going directly through Germany and controlling how? By energy through Germany, Italy, and the rest of the European nations, the Baltic states, because I mean that's what they were talking about. They were talking about normalizing relationships. And let me tell you how Russia, their ex-president Medvedev came out, and I translated it, folks, so it might not be exactly the way he said it. So I'll give you, but here goes. So number one, he says, a full-fledged mechanism for meetings between Russia and the United States at the highest level has been restored, calmly, without ultimatums and without threats. So he basically just said, we have opened our line of communication up that we haven't had. The Cold War is over. We are now talking on the highest level without ultimatums, without, threats and stuff like that. Two, the president of Russia personally and in detail outlined to the president of the United States our conditions for ending the conflict in Ukraine. So basically, Putin told him what it is and where it's going to take to if they want to stop the war. Three, following a nearly 3-hour conversation. Now, folks, I was actually an official interpreter in some of these meetings and stuff like that. That was a 3-hour conversation, really was around an hour and 20 between the two interpreters, between the pleasantries, between the hellos and the goodbyes. There was literally maybe an hour and a half of actual conversation that went on. But he goes, following a 3-hour conversation, this is interesting. The head of the White House, he means the president of the United States, Trump, refused to escalate pressure on Russia, meaning, and Trump came out on Hannity and said that after today's meeting, it went well. I see no reason to put any more sanctions, any more secondary tariffs, any more. That's it. No more conversation about any punishment whatsoever. 4, important, and this one he says important. Those 3 were just regular. 4 he says is important. The meeting proved that negotiations are possible without precondition and without simultaneously and without continuation involvement of SOV. I don't know what SOV stands for. And 5, most importantly, both sides, and this is why I think Monday, and from what I'm hearing, is going to be a shit show. But most importantly, both sides directly placed responsibility for achieving future results in the negotiations on ending hostilities on Kiev and Europe.
Yep.
So basically, they just said that both Putin and Trump agreed that now it's up to Ukraine and Europe to either take it or leave it, the condition that Trump and Putin, are giving to him. So that's how Russia's responding to this. Watch.
No,
This is
I
like,
mean, and that's what we saw, right? We've seen this before. He's telegraphed in that he completely promoted Russian lies and propaganda, blaming Ukraine for Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the humiliation of Zelensky, saying that the ball's in Zelensky's court, even though Ukraine is the one being occupied, betraying Ukraine. Let's not forget that other piece of huge news that would have been in the news if it wasn't for, 85 other disastrous scandals, is that Pete Hegseth unilaterally on his own suspended those weapons to Ukraine. And to this day, no one understands why he did it, right? Like, what? Huh? Also, Signal Gate 1, 2, and 3, we have a trilogy now, and the fact that, there's leaks happening. But enough about Pete Hegseth. Folks, they're not even hiding it. And Vladimir Putin knows that he has his poodle by the balls. He could do anything he wants with Donald Trump. I mean, this is humiliating. As Donald Trump is unleashing the National Guard, the Gestapo, his right-wing brown shirts, to terrorize the nation's capital, as he is saying, I wish her well, to the world's most notorious pedophile, Ghislaine Maxwell, as he's pardoned insurrectionist, he is meeting, hugging, greeting, loving Vladimir Putin. This is where we are right now, Mega. This is who your daddy is. This is who your king is. And what he's saying, again, bringing it back full circle, and this is the world's worst I told you so. Lev and I think because, Lev's in the world, I've been following him. I take Donald Trump literally and seriously. We're telling you, he's not going to leave peacefully. He's not going to leave legally. He is telling you, that this man is going to do anything and everything in his power. When it comes to election reform, that's going to be cheating, like what's happening in Texas, what's happening in Indiana. What's going to happen is, mail-in voting. He'll do what he can to stop it or delay it. And worst case scenario, because he has the blessing and the tutelage of Putin, he'll just declare martial law. Putin also has elections, and he magically wins 95% of the vote time and time again, and all his critics just happen to disappear. So he's already normalized an insurrection. He's normalized pardoning criminals. He's normalized war criminal Vladimir Putin. He's normalized his Gestapo on the streets terrorizing Americans. And this is only in the 7th month of his presidency, folks. People need to pay attention. Lev, I want to ask you this. For those who don't know, because there's so much Russia, Russia, Russia over the past 10 years, it's overwhelming. What does Putin have over Trump when it comes to it? Like Cliff Notes. Why is Donald Trump a dog to Putin?
It's not even that's what people don't understand. It's not. It's I mean they might have certain compromise from just over the years that here in the United States and Trump here and there, like the Stormy Daniels stuff. But it's not like compromise where it's like black and white and Putin and Trump is doing what they say. Putin could never have imagined to have such a useful idiot as Donald Trump, because Donald Trump looks up to him and wants to be like him, so he pleases it. And the other biggest thing that just so happened in the way it worked out financially, it started in the 90s. He saw the wealth, but then when he became president, then Russiagate, that bonded them. And that's why you see, even in the conversations together, we both went through Russiagate. The Democrats attacked both of us. He's mentally put it in his head like they're like one, like they're like they're both criminals. You know what I'm saying to you? So it's not one thing, Waj. It's not a point and I tell people, not only is Trump a useful idiot and wants to please him, but he's also has the greed factor. Just look at how Putin played him yesterday on the world stage. He understood that saying that Trump, he wouldn't have started the war without Trump. It was huge for Trump, because now Trump is over here. He's going to parade it saying, Putin told you himself the war would have never started. This is Biden's war. So, I mean, he knows what to say. He knows that Trump's biggest MO, lust, is power, money, finance. So he dangles it. Just think about what we just spoke about, the energy dominance. We're talking about, just I'll give you an example. The gentleman, the billionaire that I was representing and being for Rudy Giuliani, that time was Dmitry Firtash. He controls over 30% of the oil and gas. That's Putin's like second, third in command. I'm talking about like all over Europe. And this is without Nord Stream 2. And you put Nord Stream 2 back into effect. So what I'm saying to you, you're talking about so much wealth and power that they're futurist, that they're putting in front of him. Minerals, oil, all of the stuff that Trump is seeing and imagining. And we're not even talking about the crypto. Because when it comes to crypto, everybody thinks that it's only, the Qataris, or it's only the guys. Russians, when it comes to crypto, trust me, there's nobody secondary. That's how Putin, that was his secondary ammunition because of all the sanctions and everything else, crypto. So it's not one thing, it's a combination. And Putin, it's like looks up to him. It's like, Trump looks up to him like an older brother, like somebody like you want to be like, growing up, you look at somebody in the neighborhood, like a famous sports star or a famous, you might not know him personally. You might not know if he's really a good person, but you imagine like, this is who you want to be. I want to be like Michael Jordan, or I want to be like, Michael Jordan could have been the worst person in the world, but you don't know that. You fantasize. And that's how Trump envisions, people like Xi, like Kim Jong-un. He doesn't know them. He doesn't have Putin. People say to me like, oh, Donald Trump, would know if it was a real Putin or not. How would Donald Trump know? He met him maybe 2-3 times in his life. How does Donald Trump doesn't know Vladimir Putin. They're not buddies. They don't go watch movies and watch basketball games and hang out together. As 99% of the conversations, Stephen Witkoff knows Vladimir Putin a lot better than Donald Trump knows Vladimir Putin. But to make matters worse, if I may, say something, that Putin just showed the whole world and spit in Donald Trump, and Donald Trump also showed the whole world what that was, theatrics, and how disgusting. Because as Putin was taking off, and I want to read a little small little paragraph out of my Substack that I wrote earlier today. As Putin happened, before he happened moments to leave American soil, as his jet took off, Russia launched 85 Shahed drones and Iskander ballistic missiles into Ukraine, pounding the frontline regions of Sunny, Donetsk, Dnipropetrovsk, and other regions. Over 61 drones, over 24 more found targets, striking 12 locations all over the country. This is Putin leaving the summit of peace. So as he's leaving the peace summit, he unleashes a parade attack on the people of Ukraine, of what's it called? That was his answer. So this is who we're dealing. This is who he rolled out the red carpet to. The reason he sat in his car, because it was all prepared. Because see, I'll give you another example. Watch, people don't realize that. They look at that and think, oh, no big deal. But that's how Trump. That's the MO. Like, for instance, every time I needed to meet with Trump, you know how they would set me up to meet him. They wouldn't have me go to the White House, because if you go to the White House, there's a record. There's a record who walks in, who comes in. There's an official record of everything that could leak. So the way we would meet is, like, if I had information to give him, we would wait. It was a super PAC event, and there would be the picture line. And during the picture line, everybody would do like the meet and greet. So the Secret Service was aware that when and I even have video pictures. One day maybe we could do it, and I'll show it to the audience, of me handing him paperwork and video and letters from congressmen and all kinds of stuff during the pre-time, because nobody could say that, oh, Lev met with Donald Trump, because I was a donor. We took a picture, but that 3 minutes behind the scenes, I gave him a rundown on everything going on. Just like with Rudy Giuliani, when we went to Europe to meet with Firtash, we had to get some charity to sponsor an event for Rudy, so the media would think Rudy was going there in a charity event. But behind the scenes, we were meeting, talking about, getting, pardons and dirt on the Bidens and stuff like that. So this is how it does. So those 5 minutes that he sat in the car while they went over there, there was pleasantries saying, thank you. Did Steve Woodcock tell you what I told you? Absolutely. All good. And then the reason why they changed it, so this is the interesting part, what my sources are telling me is to give it more, make it look more real, because it was looking so fake already that if they would have went and sat there for 1 hour, just the two of them with nobody in there, and then no transcripts and nothing there. So they needed to bring Rubio in. So Rubio could leak what was in the conversation. So you're going to see here that Rubio come out and talk about what they discussed, that they actually spent all this time, all this money traveling, all these hours to spend 1 hour to talk about a supposed peace plan that there was none, that they then came out and spoke more about normalization relationships than anything to do with Russia, Ukraine. And now, here we are. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, how I'd like to wrap up that whole meeting.
And also, I would say the $2 billion from Deutsche Bank also helped Donald Trump in the 90s. And in Deutsche, that was money through Russia. And it could really be, they realized he was compromised, and they've had the hooks in him since the 90s. And also, Epstein's got money from Deutsche Bank as well. Just saying. Follow the money, follow the players. Donald Trump doesn't care about peace, doesn't care about the United States of America, doesn't care about national security. He cares about Donald Trump. He's perfectly willing to throw our democracy under the bus, our election under the bus, our troops under the bus, our citizens under the bus, and he's perfectly fine aligning himself with a pedophile, Ghislaine Maxwell, and war criminals like Putin and others. Folks, we're in some tough times. Generational damage has been done in 7 months. But, Lev, I don't know if you've seen the polls. Donald Trump is down in the polls. He's negative 38. He's negative double digits on nearly everything. The only thing that he's +1 on is tough on crime, but he's already overreaching, and I give it 2 weeks until he goes double digits down on that one as well. Across all demographics, he's going down. Young people who voted for him, down. Latinos, it's gone back to the 2016 numbers. Independents, down. The economy is going to get worse, folks. I hope we don't get to a recession, but all signs are pointing to a recession. And plus, people still haven't forgotten about the Epstein files, which I think there's going to be more drip. the final thing I want to ask you is, you mentioned a couple last time we talked that he's Band-Aid. He's putting on Band-Aid to these gushing, oozing wounds. Band-Aid, 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 right? Distraction, distraction, distraction. What do you see happening in the next month, especially with Epstein and his Band-Aid approach to his hemorrhaging presidency?
Well, with Ukraine, that's why he was so upset that his Band-Aid is not going to work, because Putin didn't give him the win they wanted. He got, like, Trump got the win financially by starting relationships, making money, for the future press releases, but he couldn't get the Band-Aid of Putin giving him the win of a ceasefire to get the Nobel Peace Prize, at least long enough to get through October 10th. So that's why you saw he was very upset, because he was really, really counting. He really, truly believed, my sources tell me, in his narcissistical mind, that he was going to convince Putin to put that Band-Aid out, even if for a month. That's how sick he is. So that Band-Aid didn't work. As far as the Epstein Band-Aid, that's going to rip off. I mean, first of all, we're not going to let that die out. Also, I'm hearing that September 3rd, a lot of the victims are going to be in Washington, D.C., and there's some sort of an event. I'm not sure. Somebody called me and asked me if I should want to participate, and I'm working it out. I definitely am going to try to do whatever I can to be there to make sure to give as much exposure as possible. But I think, so with that plan and other things, and listen, with the way MAGA is fractured, and it's still, remember, you still got that broken link in Dan Bongino that nobody's report. Until you see Dan Bongino come out and made some sort of statement of either pro or against Donald Trump, he's still up in the air. That's your clue, people. That's why. So as long as you don't see, that you see that, but going out making statements about how the FBI, did this, and the FBI made these arrests, the FBI, but you don't see him commenting anything about Epstein and Trump. Until you see that, he's in the air, because that's I'm giving you a little inside, poker, tell that, Dan Bongino, they're still talking. So I think it's definitely going to explode in their face. But Waj, I wanted to ask you if I could take just 1 minute. Usually, I'm here promoting myself, because I want to get the word out and everything. But today, because especially with what happened with the talks and everything, my co-host Alex Alexander from Voice from Ukraine and certain people in Ukraine have put together a little fundraiser that they're going out there to these hardest hit areas to deliver aid. And if I just may share with our cause,
Please.
because it's important, whatever, to keep the eye and to help out. It's a GoFundMe. I put it up in the message. If you guys could share and help it, why they're going into the Dnipropetrovsk area. What my sources are telling me, that within the next 48 hours is going to be a major attack that Trump has been not Trump, excuse me. Putin has been setting up, and now that this charade has finished, that's what the next step is going to be. So anything helps. We're going to get them out there. So I appreciate for everybody that helps, donates, and contributes to the people of Ukraine, because you know what? Without us, they have nothing right now. And you know what? They are on the front line, just like many others all over the world. But they're one of them. They're on the front line. They're really fighting and putting their blood on it to be able to make sure that dictator Putin doesn't go forward and it doesn't reach our shores one day. So thank you. I just want to take that.
No, that's of course. And look, folks, Donald Trump is aligned with all the worst people, right? He befriends occupiers and war criminals like Putin. He befriends and bear hugs war criminals and occupiers like Netanyahu. He loves Orban. He loves MBS. He loves President Xi. He has unleashed the National Guard and military against the U.S. people. He says he wants to be a dictator for a day. He said he would like to terminate the Constitution. He says he will unleash the National Guard and the military against the enemy from within. He said that in October. Folks, it's August. Look at New York. Look at the Capitol. He has praised Hitler. That's not me. That's John Kelly. John Kelly said he's an authoritarian. What do you think is going to happen, folks? You're seeing it. You're seeing it happen in real time. This is what Donald Trump and MAGA want. They want a right-wing authoritarian regime. He loves the right-wing strongmen and dictators. He hates the Democrats. He hates the critics. He hates the free press. He hates those lawyers and judges who have more fidelity and loyalty to the law and the Constitution than to him. But there are more of us than there are of them. Let me repeat this. There are more of us than there are of them. This is a big country of 340 million people. He's never cracked 50%. The economy, economy. This country loves money more than anything. The color green trumps the color white, and the economy is going sour, right? And also, Epstein is the one issue, as we've been saying it for a month and a half now. It's his kryptonite. He cannot, even with all these distractions, it keeps coming back to Epstein. People have not forgotten, and the right wing has not forgotten. And I believe it's Tom Massey and Ro Khanna, a Republican and a Democrat, with that bipartisan bill to release the Epstein files. And because Mike Johnson knew he didn't have the votes, he called the early recess, where Republicans then took that time to go fly to Jerusalem and meet war criminal Netanyahu. He's occupying and killing the Palestinians and Gaza. But folks, Massey hasn't forgotten. Ro Khanna hasn't forgotten. And I do hope you can come to D.C. because I've been telling Democrats for a while. Actually, I'll straight up tell everyone. I texted Ro Khanna when I found out that he was going to meet these victims of Epstein. And I said, thank you. I've been telling Democrats, just hold press conferences with the victims. And he's going to be on the Left Hook on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern
that's
time.
So awesome. That's also because I'm speaking right now with Massey's people. I'm trying to get Massey on Lev Remembers. My man. That's why we think alike.
Yeah, come on 8 p.m. Eastern time and say hi. And then if Ro wants you on at the end, if he's cool with it, I'll bring you on.
I've spoken to Ro before, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, so that's going to be, and then tomorrow late night, that's going to be late because I think Ukraine is what is it, 11 hours ahead of us? 7 hours. Okay, so tomorrow night, like at my 1 a.m., I should be sleeping, but Terrell, I've had him before. Terrell Germain Starr is a fantastic journalist in Ukraine right now. He's a black man who is in Ukraine, who speaks the language. He's an expert on Russia and Ukraine. I've had him on my show before, and he agreed to come on. And he has fantastic insights. He gives it real. He gives it as a person of color, and he gives it as a. Yeah, I'm going to do it like at 1 a.m. On Sunday morning, 1 a.m. It'll be 8:30 his time. He said yes. You just watch the recording, Lev, if you're going to sleep. I don't sleep.
I got to take the kids to school by then.
Yeah, so if anyone's around, let me know. 1 a.m. I'm going to have Terrell, which is going to be 8:30 a.m. Ukraine. He's in Ukraine. So I want him to give the perspective, both from his expertise, also his observer of U.S. politics, imperialism, but also he's in Ukraine talking to Ukrainians. That'll be up. Folks, this has been The Left Hook. I'm with Lev Parnas of Lev Remembers. If you have a few dollars, give it to the GoFundMe campaign. Help Ukrainians. Help Palestinian children in Gaza. Everything is free here on The Left Hook. There's no paywalls. If you have a few extra bucks, you become a paid subscriber to me and Lev. If not, at least become a free subscriber. This conversation for the nearly 1,500 people who joined us, we've been talking for about 40 minutes. It'll be up on my Substack and Lev's Substack in probably an hour. You can go back and listen. And I'll also link to Lev's reporting and the article that came out recently. Folks, be kind, be decent. Thanks for joining us on a Saturday night. I'm exhausted. Lev is exhausted, but we care about our democracy. And folks, it's the world's worst. I told you so. We have a little bit of time left. They're going full fascist. They're going full fascist. I'm telling you, if I told you 6 months ago the National Guard would be roughing up people in the nation's capital, you said, nah, Waj. They've normalized it. After LA, they said, oh, no one stopped us. So next is going to be Washington, D.C., then it's going to be San Francisco, then it's going to be Chicago, then it's going to be New York, then it's going to be a red state. Anywhere and everywhere where people rise up against Donald Trump, he's going to unleash his Gestapo, folks. That's what's going to happen. So we have the numbers. You need to resist at every single level. Every single level you have to resist, folks. Until next time, take care of yourself, be kind, be empathetic, and please, oh, please don't be a fascist. Thank you, Lev. Take care, buddy.
Thank you, Raj. Good night, guys. Take